All right, it is May 10th, and we are going to continue our walk along the allegedly 32 miles of the Greater Grand Forks Greenway. I say allegedly because every single map I look at lists the number of miles differently. The best I can get, or the closest I can get, is more than 20 miles. And I did have one Visitors Bureau brochure that named it at 32. So I don't know. All right, so we're kind of picking up where we left off. We're on the west side of the river, so we're in Grand Forks, and we just took a walk from Lincoln Drive Park. Hang on. So we walked from Lincoln Drive Park, and I actually went up onto the top of that hill there and down into the park. And then right there is Minnesota Avenue as it goes onto the Point Bridge. And the Point Bridge takes you on into Minnesota and East Grand Forks. But we are going to continue on the Greenway on into downtown Grand Forks. That right there is our county services building. So, like public health and different agencies like that. And then that brick building with the mural on it right there, that is the old Opera House. If you'll note, there are train tracks that lead right next to the Opera House. So what was shared with me was they built the Opera House there right next to the train tracks, or maybe vice versa, for the purpose of loading in and unloading the shows that would come into town. Make it very convenient. There's doors on the railroad track side of the building so that the shows, sets, and their actors and all of their equipment could be loaded in efficiently and then loaded back out for them to get back on the road. And it was, I guess, pretty hoppin' back in the day. Since we've been here, it has been a brewery, Rhombus Guys Brewery, which is no longer in operation, and I think they're using it as an events space. So that's the Sorlie Bridge. Sorlie Bridge connects Grand Forks and East Grand Forks on Demers Avenue. So Demers is kind of a main artery of both cities. It runs all the way through both. And it too is flanked by the invisible flood walls. And we are actually coming up on the flood monument obelisk on the edge of the Red River of the North. There are all sorts of unofficial markers and monuments throughout both cities of the high water levels in 1997. There's one at one of our hockey arenas in East Grand Forks. It just has a Sharpie line on the wall, and it just says 1997. But this is the official monument here. And obviously, these lines all represent the high water level during each of the floods. So that is where the water crested in 1997. Something like 3/4 of the city of Grand Forks and 100% of East Grand Forks were evacuated during the flood. And like I said in my previous video, there were several neighborhoods that, due to the extensive damage, were actually reclaimed as flood protection areas, and the entire neighborhood was razed, which for neighborhoods that had lasted generations and generations, obviously it was devastating. We have gained some wonderful parks out of it, but I still absolutely feel for those families that lost their homes. What is remarkable about the flood is that there were zero loss of life during the flood. And this was a monumental undertaking. The hospital was evacuated, nursing homes were evacuated, obviously homes. There was a devastating fire downtown that wiped out more than a dozen buildings. And through all of that, in those events, we didn't lose any lives. You can probably tell I kind of dig my hometown, my new hometown. The history is absolutely fascinating. I do remember as a 19, 20-year-old watching the news reports of this flood in some state that I barely ever thought of. And to now be living here is a little surreal sometimes. But I'm in awe of the actions that the cities took to protect themselves from future floods, and the fact that the byproduct is the Greenway is just so phenomenal. I love the Greenway. I get a lot of use out of it, and it's a year-round recreational area. People do snowshoeing, and they do cross-country skiing. There are some snowmobiling trails. So in the wintertime it's used. And obviously in the summertime, I mean, it is only a little after 8 in the morning on a Saturday, and there's so many people out walking and biking already. And as the weather gets nicer, it's just going to be full of families and full of people enjoying the outdoors. So what an amazing byproduct of such a terrible event as the flood.